Be me, 26, full-time wagey at a cold storage warehouse. Life is a cycle of moving frozen boxes for 10 hours a day. Come home, eat tendies, browse B, sleep, repeat. Decided to take an online night class at a community college for a self-improvement. Sociology 101, the modern condition. Seemed easy enough. Maybe meet a cute grill. My face when the entire class roster is blue-haired land whales and soy lads. Oh no, .jpg. Professor is a 60-year-old hippie who hates Reagan. Final project is 50% of our grade. Pair up and create a documentary-style presentation on the lived experience of a different gender. My soul leaves my body. The professor starts pairing people up who haven't found a partner. Anon, you'll be with, let's see, Chloe. Look around the Zoom call grid. A girl with neon pink hair and a septum piercing gives a weak, disgusted wave. Her username has she, her next to it. This is my hell. Get put into a private breakout room with her. Her is so like, just to set some boundaries, my project is going to be a frank exploration of the oppressive structures of the patriarchy. Me, K, her. And how male privilege invisibly benefits men in every aspect of their lives, even when they're like unaware of it. Me, K, her. So I'll be documenting your struggles to contrast them with the very real systemic issues women face. The air quotes she made with her fingers were visible, even on the 480p cam. I just want to pass this class and go back to my frozen box kingdom. The project begins. Chloe insists on shadowing me for a week to get an authentic look at my privileged life. She shows up at my apartment complex. It's a shitty, depressing block of concrete that always smells like boiled cabbage. Her face is a mixture of pity and confusion. This is where you live? Yeah, it's close to work. Oh, right, the working man aesthetic. Very performative. I just grunt and lead her inside. My apartment is one room. Bed, PC, microwave, mini fridge. A monument to failed ambition. She walks around it like she's at a museum for an extinct species. Takes out a little notebook. Subject lives in a Spartan, almost monastic environment. A possible rejection of materialist comforts or simply a lack of taste. Lady, I'm just poor.png. Day 1, the wage cage. I have to get special permission from my floor manager, Dave, to have her follow me. Dave is a 300-pound gorilla in a stained polo shirt who thinks yelling is a form of motivation. He looks Chloe up and down. She ain't gonna be a distraction, is she? We got quotas to meet. No, Dave. And she signs a waiver. If a pallet of frozen pork falls on her, that's on her. Chloe looks horrified but signs the paper. We go into the freezer. If minus 10 degrees F. Instantly, her smug demeanor shatters. Her, it's really cold. Me, yep. I hand her a spare thermal jacket. It's 2 sizes too big and smells like my despair. She spends the next 8 hours watching me lift 50-pound boxes of frozen chicken for hours on end, watching me use a pallet jack that has a faulty wheel and almost took my foot off twice last week, watching Dave scream at a 60-year-old man named Stan for being too slow, watching my coworkers, all of us with dead eyes and aching backs. During our 30-minute lunch, we sit in a grim, windowless break room. Everyone eats in silence, staring at their phones or the wall. Chloe tries to start a conversation. So, do you guys, ever talk about your feelings? The emotional labor here must be intense. A guy named Hector just looks at her, takes a massive bite of his sandwich and says, I have to piss in a bottle so I don't get written up for long breaks. Chloe stops talking and just nibbles her organic quinoa salad that she brought from home. She writes in her notebook, Subject's workplace exhibits extreme levels of toxic masculinity. Emotional expression is suppressed in favor of productivity. I see what she wrote and tell her, no, we're just tired, lady. Day 2, the social life. She wants to see my social sphere. I have no social sphere. Okay, well, what do you do after work? I gesture to my computer. I fire up a game of League of Legends. For 2 hours, she sits behind me watching me get called every slur in the book by a 12-year-old in Brazil because I missed a skill shot. She keeps writing in her notebook. Subject engages in ritualized, anonymous digital combat, a way to sublimate real-world aggression, a cry for help. Then I show her my Tinder profile. We swipe for an hour. 100 swipes right, 0 matches.
Her expression starts to change from academic curiosity to genuine sadness. "Don't you ever go out?" "Where? And with what money?" "A beer costs $8. That's an hour of work in the freezer." She got quiet after that. Day 3, the family. She insists on meeting my family to understand my background of privilege. I drive us to my parents' house. Dad is 65. He was a mechanic whole his life. His back is shot. His hands are permanently stained with grease. He lost most of his pension in 2008. Greets us from an old lazy boy he can barely get out of. Mom works as a cashier at Walmart to make ends meet. She has varicose veins and permanent worry lines. They are sweet, kind people who work their asses off their whole lives and have almost nothing to show for it. Chloe interviews my dad. "So, as the man of the house, did you feel a certain pressure to provide?" "I wasn't the man of the house. I was a husband and a father. You do what you have to do. You don't complain. You just get up and do it again the next day. No one cares about your struggles. They only care if the job gets done." Chloe's pen is shaking a little bit as she writes that down. We eat dinner. My mom made meatloaf. It's the highlight of my week. Chloe barely touches her food. She just watches my parents interact. My dad's hands trembling as he tries to lift his fork. My mom cutting his meat for him without a word. A lifetime of quiet, uncomplaining sacrifice in one small gesture. Day 4. Rock bottom. Back at the warehouse. It's a rough day. A shipment is late. Dave is on a rampage. He's riding Stan, the old guy, all morning. "Come on, Stanley, my grandma could move faster and she's dead." Stan doesn't say a word, just keeps working, his face pale. Suddenly, Stan just stops. He leans against a rack of frozen peas and slides to the floor. He's having a heart attack. Chaos. I scream for Dave to call 911. Dave's first words are not, "Is he okay?" Dave's first words are, "Damn it, now the whole line is stopped. We're going to miss the fucking quota." An ambulance comes and takes Stan away. We never saw him again. 5 minutes after the ambulance leaves, Dave's yelling at us to get back to work. These boxes aren't going to move themselves. I look over at Chloe. She's not writing in her notebook. She's just standing there in the freezing cold with tears streaming down her face, freezing to her cheeks. The invisible privilege she was so sure she'd find was nowhere to be seen. All she found was invisible men, breaking their bodies in a frozen hell, managed by soulless ghouls, only to be replaced the second they collapse. The next few days are a blur. Chloe stops asking questions. She just watches. She sees my get paycheck, sees the taxes, the insurance, the rent come out until there's almost nothing left. She sees me spend an entire Saturday trying to fix the plumbing in my own sink because I can't afford a plumber. She sees the crushing, monotonous, lonely reality. No parties, no easy lays, no boys club, no secret handshake that gives me a leg up. Just the cold, the exhaustion, and the internet. The night before the presentation is due, we're in my apartment. She's been silent for an hour, just staring at her laptop screen, which is full of her notes. "Everything I wrote? It's all bullshit," she said, her voice cracking. "It's all theory, it's jargon. It doesn't mean anything. I saw that man, Stan, and your boss. I thought all men were part of this big system, all benefiting. But you're not. You're in it. You're fuel for it, same as everyone else. But nobody's allowed to see you suffer. You're just supposed to be quiet and keep the whole thing running." A single tear rolls down my cheek. Well, not really. I just kind of nodded. "Yeah, pretty much." She deletes her entire presentation. All her notes about the patriarchy and male privilege. We stay up until 4 a.m. building a new one from scratch. Presentation day. We're on Zoom again. Professor Hippie calls on us. Chloe asks to go first. She shares her screen. The first slide is a picture she secretly took of my hands after a shift. Raw, calloused, bruised. The title of the presentation? The Privilege of Invisibility. For 15 minutes, she talks. She talks about the physical toll, the injuries, the cold. She talks about the emotional desolation, the loneliness, the expectation to be a stoic machine. She talks about how society relies on a vast army of men to do the jobs no one wants, for a pay that keeps them trapped. She talks about how their pain is ignored, their deaths are a statistic, and their struggles are dismissed as privilege. She uses Stan as the prime example, a man who literally worked himself to death for a company that replaced him in minutes. The soy lads in the class are squirming. The other blue-haired girls look personally offended. Professor Hippie is stroking his beard, looking confused. Chloe ends on a final slide with a photo of the bleak break room. She says, "The final most crushing aspect of this privilege is that they are not allowed to complain, for they are men and men are supposed to be strong. Their silence is mistaken for contentment. Their invisibility is mistaken for power, and the world keeps turning on the foundation of their broken backs." She finishes, complete silence on the Zoom call. You could hear a pin drop. It was the most base thing I had ever witnessed. We got an A+. Chloe dropped her gender studies minor and switched to social work. We still talk sometimes, not dating or anything, just friends. She calls me sometimes to check if I'm doing okay. It's nice. My back still hurts and the warehouse is still cold, but for the first time in a long time, I don't feel completely invisible. Still a wagey though. FML.